We're just gonna give it a few minutes, let a couple people get on. I know I'm starting at a different time than I normally is gonna start, but um, I'm helping some people set up their IO account, so I didn't know what time I was gonna get around to, so I wanted to make sure it was late enough that I was gonna make it. And then I didn't consider the time change, and so it was gonna be way later than I intended, so I changed the time. But I'm not gonna wait for a ton of people. We're recording, so whatever. If no one's able to watch, then they'll be able to watch later, help with them more later. So, um, just to make sure everyone knows, I can't follow the chat comments very well because I'm only using one monitor, so it's really hard to switch back and forth and see. So if you have any questions, I'll try to get back to them before the end, but it might be better just to PM me or post a comment in the group so everyone else can see. Would be probably great too. So I'm going to show you. Let's get started on this. I'm going to show you. This is my quote form where my customers go to see when they check out. I have my optional fields here. I showed a video and everyone had a great response on accidental damage waiver. I will probably show a redo on how to do this because it's the exact same way for the tips as well, but I'll probably save that for the end because it is the most in-depth thing you get to do this in the certificate insurance. But these are all my current things. I try not to put too much on the quote form because the more stuff you add in, the less likely people are to check out, and so you just don't want to do that, add too much. But there are some things that are kind of important, so I like this special instructions thing because I do weekend long rentals and I automatically change someone on a Saturday to a Friday delivery and Monday pickup. So this is supposed to help them tell me if they only need it for the time specified, not for the entire weekend. I can probably word that a little bit better, but for the time being, that's what I got. So this is one spot. Everyone knows about this. We're going to talk a little bit about your contracts. And so I have, everyone has their image and then title, but you can add like your dimensions. And if you want to add some sort of notes, I have one where whenever we do volunteers, it'll say that, hey, they're volunteering for this one, but this one, if this is an item, we're staffing it. It also says that our staff requires like a 2 hour or a 15-minute break every 2 hours, and it shows up on the contract plain as day so that when my guys take it, uh, there's no unsureness about it. Everyone knows because it's right there plain as day. So that's just another area you can look at. This is kind of what it looks like in the code. I just went in and added all this stuff in, and we'll get to do that. But you just add that template variables in, and it can be, whatever you want, however you want to do it. There's no wrong way to do this. Just because I do it one way does not mean there's not another way of doing it. So these are just ideas to kind of get going. We'll kind of do that. And then I do some in my inventory, extra details. I have inventory contract notes. I have item numbers, training QR codes. I'll show you where all this stuff ends up going. The YouTube link, like I said in the previous video, doesn't really do anything anymore, but I gotta go through and update my inventory. I have areas all of there. And then the one I'm always hesitant to show people, but it's a really important one for everybody, is this is my packing list. I've added a QR code, and this QR code if whenever I print off my packing list, my drivers can scan that QR code, and it'll open up their Messenger app, and it'll already pre-populate the who it's sending to, and then it'll prompt them for a lead ID. They will then just put in that number right there and add the picture or several pictures and send it, and IO will automatically attach it. If you're using a digital version, I've added this link here, and this link opens up an email. Well, it can open up the text message thing. If you're on a computer, it tries to open up an email link, and it doesn't really work the exact same. But you could set it up for email instead of text if you wanted to. It's probably going to be less wonky. Anyway, optional fields. That's not really an optional field. That's just an extra thing. My optional fields, I have my rental notes. I use my rental notes here to tell my guys how to roll up something. Just something real brief. Nothing too strenuous, because hopefully they have a good idea before they get to this part. But that just like, oh yeah, that's how it goes or something. They always like to know what the size is before getting to a job, so I put that in there. I have my rental image. That's not an optional field, that's just a template variable. Then my training one, that's going to be, I'll show you where that's at in the inventory deal, but I'm going to create short little YouTube videos of like quick setup and teardowns of different styles. Not every unit, because just because it doesn't have the same color, it doesn't mean it doesn't roll up the same, right? So but it's going to be like a short, quick training video that instead of it, whenever they send out a new guy, say, hey, I think I'm confident enough to run a truck. If he has a question, hopefully you can reference that video instead of interrupting a second truck or the office. They can try that first. I have some other ideas that I could do with this, but I'm going to try this idea first and just see what happens, because I want people to be self-reliant out on the field. So that's a pretty cool deal. So let's just jump right into the optional fields deal. We all know settings and optional fields. You go through and you can add in whatever you want. I have some other ones in in my leads as well. I guess I didn't go over these, but I have my accidental damage waiver. I don't ever have mine pre-checked because I don't know. I just don't care to have it checked on. I should, but everyone adds it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I have this one. This one is only on the back end. My customers cannot select this on their own, because this one applies a fee to the order and actually names them additionally insured on my deal. This means I'm taking additional risk, whereas this is just saying, hey, I have insurance. I'm messing around with a couple other ones. So this child's birthday, I'm deciding on how to implement asking people for a child's birthday. I don't want it to be there all the time, but I want it to show up if the event type is a deal. So I have a drop down. I've created this drop down. I want it to pop up when someone selects birthday. I want this to pop up on the customer side. On my back end, I don't really care. But I don't want it to show all the time on the front end, so I'm messing with that. And then this other field, I want this to pop up so people can populate it. But I'll be figuring that out soon. So anyway, that's kind of all the different areas that I currently use for optional fields. So let's dive into what optional fields are. And optional fields give you so much flexibility to be able to add information for a job that is not already built into IO, and it allows you to place it where you want to place it with these template variables. So you have the name field, and that's what you're going to call it. And whatever you call it is what it's going to display like on if you do something that's in the checkout form. If you call it accidental damage waiver, it's only going to show accidental damage waiver. You have to add code in for this. Or if you wanted to, you could type all this into this field here, but then it makes that template variable really long, which doesn't really matter, I guess, because you're not really typing it out. IO does all that for you, but I like to try keeping my template variables pretty simple, and I like to be able to bold sections of it to make it stand out. So I go in and code that myself. You have default options. So depending on what you use, the checkbox is the most common one that is done. So it's the first, and you can do select, which is basically nothing is done. It says similar as unchecked or checked. Then you can apply fees. So if you go in and add fees, you can apply whatever fee or coupon you want to. If that box is checked, you can choose, this is all the different types. You have small text, large text, dates. Select as a drop down, notes, and a phone number. So those are all the types of fields you can add in. The small text fields, you can do default values, and that's where I get on my special notes. This default value is how I filled that in. And you can automatically fill that in. You can. It says you can apply fees. You can't. I don't know that you can. I'm pretty sure the checkbox is the only one that allows you to apply a fee at this time. I think they're gonna try getting some other stuff, but I'm not real positive on that. I don't really know. I just know for sure the checkbox works. These other ones I wish would work to a degree, but it doesn't yet. Um, you have large text. Large text is very similar to small text, but you can allow HTML. This is what I use for my QR codes for the training one. So whenever I'm in inventory, this right here is a large text where I allow HTML. This right here is just a large text. So I can type in text here, whatever I want, and it'll show where I put that short coder. But this one here, I can actually go in and add an image, and it'll show up wherever I need it to show up. So I can add that in, and bam, now wherever that training QR code is at, it's going to populate in. The only place I put that at is on my packing list. So if I added that to this inflatable, it would show up there, but I don't have it there. So whoops, delete that. The short description, I place that on my inventory item. So let me get to one of those. This one is also a little bit more advanced. If you want to know how to do this because you want to add it, then great. If you don't, I'm not going to really get into the details of this one. But it's this little description right here. Instead of being down, the description being down here or wherever the new code's putting it somewhere in here, not real positive. I can put it up here. That way there's a really brief, short description of the inflatable. Preferably, this was not the way to do this short description. It should be like a benefit, why they should rent this bounce house, what would make this bounce house ideal so that they want to click that button. This here would just be all the additional information like needing electricity, age requirements, all that stuff. I'm not great at writing this stuff, so don't copy my text. It's kind of similar. Like here's where they also apply this here. Like this here is the short description and the categories deal, and this is a default thing. This is like a long description. So that's where the short description comes in, and you can put it on each individual item. And I use that because I like to code the style of different things. I want things to look differently for different areas. So whenever I'm writing my regular description here, I like that I can add tables and everything. So then you can choose where you display it. Whatever you display, this is how I choose whether it's going to be on inventory or if it's going to be on a worker's deal. Here's something I'm going to mess with. So I use IOphone quite a bit on everything. And in my area, I don't know where you guys are at, but in my area, we get, if you have an HVAC guy come out to your location, then what they do is they send you a text beforehand with a picture of the guy, and it says, kind of gives him a description of how long he's worked with the company, some of his credentials, whatever. We obviously don't have all the HVAC credential stuff, but I do think that we are going to people's places of residence, and if they get a picture of who they're looking for, especially with people with unmarked trucks and stuff like that, it might add that little like comfort value to your business. And so I am going to mess with adding that in and then putting it in the workers and then being able to create a text that goes out and tells them who is delivering their inflatable. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't have that built yet. I haven't had the time, which I don't know why I don't. I should. So So you can choose where you want to place these things, and how you want to do it. I'm not real sure where you're going to use a lot of stuff, but you can do like in the organizations if you want to place some of this, tons of different places. The most common one being the checkbox in the leads section, optional fields. To put it on your website, you have to, I'm going to not save one because I don't like creating things I don't need. I'll just show you one. So this is the checkbox. To make it show on your page, you have to save and close it and then reopen it. And this quote form here is open. You have to choose one. This one for sure. I usually try to do both of them. And then this would say add. Once you add it, it'll say remove. See, if I say move, it says add. You want to make sure that says remove next to it. That means it's added onto the page. So whenever you're done creating your optional fields, this custom template or variable right here is what you would use, and you place it wherever you want. So that's where I'm getting some of my event types. So I just say, well, not event type, that's a horrible example. So we're going to say like the notes. Let's see, where am I getting my training QR code? So I get this, I have my custom QR code. I just copy it. I'm going to the page that I want to edit, so my packing list. And then I can go into my packing list and I just copy and paste it in the same way all this other stuff is done, okay? So adding the code is really easy. You just go in, find the place you want to put it, and paste the code. And then from there on out, it's good to go. On here, I have the rental notes for the item and this rental note. So one of them is the rental note in the actual, like when you're creating a lead. So when you're adding a lead and you go to, we'll just add an item. You open the lead up and you have this note section here. You can type in something and that will show up. That's on a per job basis. So this note may apply to this job. It doesn't necessarily apply to every job. But if you're in inventory and you're in the extra details, this one will apply to that inventory every single time it goes out. I want both of them on my packing list. That's why I have it built out to show both of them. I want to know what's there for that job and what's there for every job. And then the size, right? So this is really simple stuff. The idea is coming up with the creativity and knowing what you want to put where and giving everybody the best information that they could use to do the job well. The more information you give somebody, the better. I used to be thinking this is a really easy job. I don't understand why people have a hard time, like hiring employees is hard. And now I think the more information I give somebody, the easier I can make the job. That's what I'm going to do. So if I have to spend 2 hours building this, well, a week building this packing list so that my guys can go and they have all the information they need for their job, then they have it. Real simple. So this one here is my item number. This is just a small text deal. Our inventory is getting larger, not huge. We only got like 50 pieces, but I want to be able to I like the idea. I always start as early as possible. If a larger company is doing it, then I want to do it too, because I want to be a larger company. So I used a small text option with an item number, and I'm going to start doing my item number in all my inventory. I'm going to assign each one an item number. And then I'll place my item number almost everywhere instead of the name, because my employees don't need to really care about the name of something. They just need to care what the item number is and that they're going to go grab that item number. If I have 5 or 6 of the same item, then they'll all have the 100. They all know to go grab 100. It doesn't matter which 100 it is, just grab one. Because I tend to have a problem with naming my Jumping Jacks Bounce House. Also, I'll get a second one and call it Jumping Jacks Bouncer, And my guy's like, well, it's got to be the bouncer because it says bouncer. That is the exact same one. It doesn't matter. But if I go in here and say 100, then they can grab whichever one's a 100. There's I'm not entirely fully aware of what the number is, but I know I've heard people talking about it. I know that I like what they're talking about, so this is how I'm going to implement it. Um, you can also create this same training QR code and do the same thing, add a QR code here, and you can say, I'm going to put this code to where it links to a specific page that tells my employees about that bounce house. Then you can build out a page on your website that's hidden from everybody that will have like a packing list, it'll have a video and everything just one page, and then you can just post that QR code there as opposed to um, just a YouTube video. However, you want to do that. So, like I said, guys, this is really easy stuff. You just got to be creative about what information you want. You've got to be just come in here and start finding the different ones and where you want to put them. I don't use a ton of of different ones, and I don't get terribly um, complex. I try not to get too complex, but just enough to make my guys know what they're doing. You can do leads and customers, and this one, I don't really know what the difference is in all of it. So, you just play with it until you find where you want it. You can put these anywhere you want in them, depending on what you want. So let's go ahead and we'll set up that more complex accident damage waiver. Ryan asked a minute ago about the damage waiver. The damage waiver doesn't actually add to the contract, it adds to the quote page. So, where they're at, let's see. If you're on the contract, this is the contract, you can't add it to this page anywhere because once it's on this page, it's already taken a snapshot of their rental, and you can't go in here and say, oh well, let me upsell the damage waiver here. You have to do it on your actual quote form. So on the checkout page, when they do the checkout, you can actually add it here. This is the only place that you're gonna tag nabbit. What'd I do with it? All right, well, I'm going to go in and add my damage waiver because apparently I got rid of it. So let's see what happened. Wrong one. Oh, all right. So my accidental damage waiver, I have that turned on. I only title it accidental damage waiver. I'm going to go in, settings, pages and templates, WP checkout. Okay. So now I'm in here. You cannot expand any of this stuff. Oh, there it is. Put it where I don't want it because that's where optional fields go apparently. So I don't want it there. So, but I can't just copy this and move it down and around. Some reason this is one page that doesn't let you do that with all the JavaScript and stuff, so you have to go to code. Once you're in this page, I never just scroll through things because I'll never see it. I always do Control F and do accidental, or type in one of the words that has to do with it, and bam, I found it. Okay, so you want to make sure you copy all of the code. This here means you're opening up a section of code, and whenever it's followed by that, it means you're closing that section. So you have to make sure you grab everything. So you go in and bam, that's all the code that I'm going to grab. I'm going to copy, Control C, and backspace. I don't want that there. Okay. So now I know I want it down by my send certificate, so I'm just going to go send. And I know I want it there. So now I've added that in. If I want to double check, I can save and close it. I double check everything. Save and close, open up my WordPress checkout. I can't believe I deleted this. I open it up. Bam, I have it right there. Okay, but now I want it to look similar to this one and kind of explain what that accidental damage waiver is. So I'm going to go back into the template and do the code. I'm going to Control F, I've already got it. Go down to accident. All right, so now once you get there, this black text is the only thing you want to change. Don't change anything in the red. The red is valuable stuff for IO to be able to understand what to do with it, so you don't change it. So you can go in and write in I don't remember how I have this worded, so I'm just going to type something out now and I'll have to go figure it out and come back and change it. Sorry. Real simple on how I write my stuff, so I try to be, because I don't like long paragraphs. Um, Silly string, Betty. Shoot. I don't remember what all I had in there. Um, I know that's kind of repetitive, but whatever. And then I'm going to go in. I like this section to be bold, okay? So here's how you make something bold. You can go the left arrow or greater than, and then put strong, and then close it off with the less than, and then go after the section that you want to be bold and do the exact same thing. But remember that forward slash closes it. So we're going strong, bam. Now that's going to be bold, and this is going to be regular, and it's all inside my label. So remember, we're only changing the black. Don't change anything in the red, green, or blue. Save and close. So now I'm going to come back, refresh that page, and bam, now I have it down there. No problem. See that? We're good to go. So that's basically the optional fields. I don't know. They're really easy to put in. You just got to think about where you want them, what information you want to know, where it makes sense to put it, and then copy and paste any of the templates that are created whenever you make an optional field. And think of what kind of optional field is the best for that information. So like my event type one, it makes sense to do a drop down because I only want them to choose one of them. I don't want them to write one in. I want just a choice. So um, that's kind of where we're at. If you guys have any questions, I am going um, see what comments we have. Sure, Vanessa, I'd be happy to show you. So I'm going to walk you back through kind of, whoops, let me put you back in my account that has the pages and templates. Leave page. And I'm going to go to uh, WP checkout, and I am editing the code. So the first thing I do for my accidental damage is I just do Control F and find the accident damage. And if it's not where I want it, towards the bottom, then I will copy and paste it. Okay, but you want to make sure you copy everything in the div. The I don't even know what div stands for. I'll be honest, I don't know what half the stuff in code does. I just know what it means or how to use it. So if I can figure it out, you guys can figure it out. But you want to start with the green. If you start with the green div, it needs to end with the green div. It gets really confusing when you get down here and there's like a div, and like all this down here, div, form, div, whatever. But anyway, anything in the black, this what you're looking for, Vanessa, that right there? Ryan, what feature are they not using yet? The online booking? You because if you're not using the online quote, Ryan, then if you do, you can still add it to your back end, and then just remind yourself to um, ask the question, and then you can add it yourself. And then when you're ready to do online bookings, you just turn the feature on when you're ready to do it. That's thinking the wrong page. So um, that right there is the code. I would not type all that in, Vanessa. Just the black, and you may word it differently than I do. I'm probably going to change that wording because that's a little repetitive. Say not outlined in the rental agreement, and then or anything else outlined in the rental agreement. I try to put my stuff a lot in the rental agreement and then just allude to it whenever I do it instead of writing this super long paragraph. I'm afraid that prevents people from signing and booking with me. So, oh no, someone else told me that they had the same issue. You may have to ask IO about it, Vanessa, and see because they may have it where you can't edit the code, and I don't know why that's the case, but you just have to ask them to be able to. That's weird. You're the second person I've been told that, and I don't know how to fix it. Um, they may tell you that you are not allowed to. I'm just playing. I know other people that are able to that, but without me saying anything. So you probably just have to ask them. It may just be a locked safety feature, not real positive. Oh yeah. So Ryan, with them doing online booking, whenever I first started, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's how I feel about online booking. I don't care. I couldn't care less about the online booking stuff. I do like it. It is nice. It lowers some of what I have to do, but I like the software stuff because it makes me taking the orders and the efficiency of my back end with all the optional fields and stuff like that. So much so that I don't mind when people call in because I don't have to do all the other stuff of the calendar work, the route planning with Google Maps because IO does it. So, um, but anyway, I think when I first started with it, it took almost 2 years before people started I could really tell a difference that people were booking online instead of calling. A ton of people would go online. I could see that they would add stuff to cart, but then they'd call me and then they'd say, "Yeah, this is what I want. Um, uh, this is what I want." So you know, you just, oh well, good. I already have the information. You just got to finish out what they started. It's weird. But 2 years later, most of my people book online. What's funny is people on the that call say they love the online booking. They love not having to make a call. I'm like, but you just called me to tell me that. Is so weird. Um, so uh, so the optional fields. I don't know why I keep going to that one. That's not even the optional fields is a fantastic deal. I'm excited to dive even more into optional fields. Like I said, that workers one with the IO deal, I'm really excited about being able to try that out as soon as I get on that. Um, I really like it whenever my employees open their account that they can actually like fill that out for me instead of me having to get to know my guys. Just kidding. I don't mind getting to know them, but it'd be easy if they could start it and then I could finish it up. Um, Vanessa, did you get enough of that? Oh yeah, you can't type anything in, so you got to ask them to let you do it. That's weird that you weren't able to do it. So, um, dagnabbit, did it again. I'm gonna always go to that tab. Uh, so the more you guys figure out these optional fields, the more that you are going to be able to expand on the your business and make it more efficient. So here, let me show you while I'm in this and doing optional fields. Um, Let me show you what some of them do. What you can do with some of them because you can create automations using some of these fields. Um, like I said, not all this is good for everybody, but it works for me and ideally. So this one here, when this one gets checked, what it does is it triggers an automation. I have a filter that I set up. I'm going to go to automations because it gets there faster. Um, so I have customers that always want my certificate. Like churches and schools will want that. So I allow that when they check it and they're in a certain status, because I've learned that sometimes they'll be in a quote and they ask for it, and then like it doesn't even matter. Uh, Certificate doesn't matter. I don't really care. So, but when they check that box, it's going to send an email to my agent, and it's going to say, "Hey, this is my customer's information." I go into my email center, okay, and I built out a certificate. Whoops, spell that right. A certificate. There it is. Email. I asked what they need to know to be able to send a certificate. So I asked them to send a certificate with I use their first name, their organization, the full name, the event street, where the event's going to be at, a contact phone number, and email, and then I say, hey, can you if you could just send that over to this email address and let me know if you have any questions. It goes out to them. They fill out the deal for me. They send the certificate to my customer, and all I did was check a button, check a deal at whenever I'm doing it, or they did, and then I get a copy of the insurance. And what I usually will do is I'm probably going to change this up a little bit because I like to whenever I'm creating a lead. I'm going to get into this automations in a future one, but this is really cool. When I do a new lead, I'm going to have them send a copy of it to IO with the lead ID so that it'll show up on here. So then I attach a ton of stuff to each lead. I attach my certificates that we given to them, the named additionally insured. If they ask for bull rider waivers, that all goes here. Pictures that my guys set up, pictures that they send me for jobs, everything. I attach so many things to each lead, not every lead, but to a lead. Um, you know, I just want to make everything easy to get to. So um, the really cool thing is if you have your guys send that photo with that QR code and they send a photo and it attaches to the lead, you can generate a report that says, I want to pull up all the leads that have the Batman bounce house, and all the leads are here. You just click on one, you can go to the attachment, download the image that they did, and bam, you've got your marketing material right there, all saved in IO. Um, and so that's kind of a neat way to organize it a little bit. And so, but I'll cover all that in a different video. That gets a little. You want me to do the tip? Okay. So, uh, yeah, I'll do the tip real quick. It's so the tip is set up the same way. I keep doing that. It's not even an account I can do anything on. The tip is set up the same way as the accidental damage waiver. So I always go in and set up a tip first. Tip. We're gonna just call this one 5% tip. But call it whatever you want to. 5% gratuity tip. It's all the same. Now, IO says that you should do a really high dollar amount, just several nines, really high dollar, and then come in here and say you're going to do a 5% fee on the rentals. You can do 5% fee on the rentals or the total, whichever one you want to do. The total, I think, is after you add like delivery fees and everything, so they're tipping on the total versus just the rentals. If you're doing a tip, I would probably say it's not taxable income because you're passing that along for your guys to pay a tax on their deal. But that's going to be between you and an accountant. I'm not going to give tax advice. This is going to be whatever you want to do. You want to allow use with other promotions and fees because when you set up your damage waiver, it's also a fee and you want to be able to charge the damage waiver and a tip. So leave that. And then we're going to just save and close. And then you go settings and optional fields. Add an optional field. 5% tip. I'm going to go. Just remember, whatever you title it here, you probably want to title your fee because the fee name is what's going to show up on the invoice. So you don't want to do anything too crazy on it. So then we're going to go here and apply a fee, 5% gratuity fee, checkbox leads. I leave it in the optional fields. I don't think it really matters. And then do the, if you want to, have it not in gratuity, probably just leave it select, save and close. Oh, then you have to reopen it. I hope I'm not going too fast for you, Vanessa, but if I am, you can watch it again and pause it. That's what. You're going to go to WP checkout and add it, and then that's it. So now you can go to checkout page. And see, mine puts it up here. I don't know why my optional fields are up here. I hate that, so I have to go in and change the code. I'm probably going to find out why that goes up there. I bet I can figure it out. Change it and move it. So now you can say 5%, and you just add several ones. So whenever you check out, if they click it, it should add it to the thing. If for some reason this is not, when you check it, it's not adding the gratuity, I go into the promotions and fees. This is the first thing I do. Promotion and fees, find that, and I'll change this to events and then save and close it. So far, that's been enough, but sometimes you can. It's like the code will catch a little bit of a bug, and you may have to just delete everything and change this to tip so that it changes the code somehow. I was just messing with someone's today where I had everything set to be unchecked. And somehow, every time you go to the checkout page, every single one of these was checked every single time. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. You could uncheck it and the fee would disappear, but I had to delete the optional field title it something different so that it would be unchecked. But that's the gist of it. So I hope that helps, Vanessa. But real simple, real fast. You have to set up a fee for each tipping option. So then, dang it, I did it again. I'm going to do that the entire time. What I would also recommend you do is you're going to want to go in and somehow create a report. So you'll go like, say, let's go in here. I'm going to build this on the fly, so I don't really even know, and it's not even going to apply to my account because I don't do tips. Say tip report. I don't know. We want to filter it, and we want to apply to statuses that are complete. And we want shoot, what else would you want to make sure is in there? So, and 5% gratuity is checked. You might go and in the group and say or, and then choose your each tipping option and say is checked. That way, it's pulling all the leads that a tip was actually applied. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. So it's not just the completed jobs. It's also they also have paid in a tip. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Save and close. I don't have any, so this is going to be totally bogus, and you're going to have to mess with it. So then you go to reports, and you're going to build a report. We're going to call this one tip report 2. And then you're going to have to figure out what, let's see, what information is important. Gratuity, 5% gratuity. You're probably going to just do each one. You're probably going to do, shoot, I don't even know, shift. You want to know who's going to get it too. Why is it frozen? So you're going to say shift, lead shift, worker's name. Anyway, you need to find out exactly what, like I said, I'm doing this on the fly, so I don't really know, but worker and then the gratuities that are up, who got gratuities, and you're going to send or desend, doesn't really matter. You're going to apply that tip filter, tip report filter. That way it's only pulling in the right deals. We're going to leave that for now. I probably want that one at the top. Shift worker name. And then probably just do rental total. You probably do rental total because you're going to have to do math on this a little bit because I don't think you can pull in a percentage. Maybe it does. That's why I'm not real positive. You have to see what it is. I don't know if this is just going to say that it is that or if it's going to actually have a dollar amount tied to that because I don't know if that's the fee or the checkbox. So maybe there's a reason because there's only one, so I'm not real positive on that. So you want to make sure you know what that is. Save and close, and then you can go into your leads. Pull in that tip report, and it'll have the worker's name, what gratuities they did, whether I don't know if this is going to be percentage or dollar amount. If it's not, if it's just a check, like they say, oh well, we got whatever, then you can do you can do the math, and then you know how much to pay out to those people in tips in your payroll stuff. So that is probably going to be, since I don't do tips, that's probably going to be the hardest thing to figure out. But if I did do tips, I'd do something along that line. So Um, this where should the optional fields display? Okay, so in one account that I'm working on, theirs every time I put their stuff in, it automatically showed up down here. But mine's an older account than theirs and yours, so mine shows up here, and I don't like it up there. So I don't know if there's a reason that it does that. See, I'm not sure why mine shows up here at the top. That's just how they have mine coded to show up there. So I don't like it. But like I said, one of the customers I'm working on, IO customers, not my Jumping Jacks customers, theirs already shows up down here. I don't have to move anything. I just go in and recode what I want. So that's the best answer I can give you. Does that help? I hope it helps. Oh, you mean on the back end? So like if you're back here, you're saying yours doesn't show up under optional fields. It doesn't have a. Oh look, mine. Oh, there it is. Mine 5%. Okay, so here's something that you should know too on this optional fields. You can change the order of all this, and I'm not sure how the display stuff works exactly. But you can go into settings, display order. I'm gonna leave that page, and you can go in here into leads, optional fields. You can go in leads customers, or leads inventory. Every time you add one to a certain section, you can go into that and change the optional fields where they're at in there. So um, that maybe try looking there and see if there's something in there. You shouldn't be able to delete it at all. So I'm not real positive if it's not showing up where it's not going to. But but that definitely is something that instead of getting it all jumbled up in the back end, it'll kind of help clean it up a little bit. But it should be right there in optional fields. Whenever you click it, if you're in it like this and you scroll down, this is usually hidden, and so you have to it's usually shown like that, so you have to click optional field and open it up, and then all that stuff is there. Uh, Same thing with the payments. You have to click it, and then you can add payments in. It's not letting me do a payment because it's just a quote, but well, because I haven't saved it yet. But you might try that. I'm not on your to be able to help. Okay, good deal. Yeah, that's what you have to click on it. That makes it easier. It's way easier to find using that green sidebar. So, uh, um, is there anything else optional fields wise that we maybe is kind of confusing, and I can kind of run through real quick? It's a pretty simple. Um, they made it really simple, and so you can you can create automations based on those optional fields. Like I said, I have my certificate done. Save on that, and so if you're creating a new one, you just go automations. You have to use the filter, but you can even set fields that are um, so you have the short description. See this? I can set these fields if I wanted to as well. Um, so that's kind of neat. Not all of them do it. See, I can set the item number, inventory contract notes, but see, I don't see like my 5%. Oh, there it is at the top, 5%. I can say, hey, if they meet this filter, I want to add that 5% gratuity. It's more. That's more the yeah. That's the optional fields. So that's why I kind of get myself into this a lot because I go in and I love to troubleshoot and find the best ways to do things. That's ultimately why I even chose IO to begin with, because there's so much stuff and you can make this work however you want for your company. So it's not like you have to run your company like everyone else. You can do whatever you want the way you want to do it. You just have to figure out how to make it work. I love that I have that freedom to do it how I want to, um, which is pretty amazing. So um, it would be nice if it was simpler to do, because then everyone could be able to do stuff like this isn't an optional field deal, but I like that I can go in and choose. Oh, dag nabbit! Now that's not working. There's that. So I wonder what happened to my other one. So if you click the customer pickup, it gives a little bit extra information. Boom. Anything else doesn't really. So uh, I like that I can put that in there. I'm glad I found that. Uh, yeah, so that's all I have for optional fields. If you guys have any questions or need help figuring out how to do something, I'm always more than happy to try to help out. You can always just shoot me a PM or comment on this video so that other people that watch it later can maybe figure it out. Um, I hope I've helped out. So we'll see you maybe next week. I'm not sure what my next topic is. If you can't tell, I'm not terribly organized, so I just kind of fly through it. And the idea is I want to get people used to being able to figure it out mentally. I don't come up with half my ideas. Half the time, I'm just talk to other people, and they give me the idea, and then I just implement it. So and help them implement it. So that's what I got. I hope it's been helpful. I hope it's kind of helping break down some of the confusing parts of IO. I know sometimes I'm not really helping be less confusing, but more confusing. So um, I'm gonna go fix this gratuity thing, and then we are gonna be out. I'll see you guys later. Talk to you on the other side.